also a research fellow in exile. Good evening, and you're welcome to another exclusive interview powered by News.Band Television. Now, our theme for today is Anambra 2021, the role of churches, pastors, and prophets in the just concluded Anambra State governorship election. Now, our guest today is no other person than someone who is familiar to most of our regular viewers in this program. He has appeared severally as a guest and an active commentator. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our brother and friend, Dr. Uwankwo Tony Uwaizigwe. Dr. Uwaizigwe holds a PhD in International History and Diplomacy, specializing in Black African-Arab relations and ethno-religious conflicts. He's a pioneer director, Center for Igbo Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He's also currently a research fellow in exile with the Institute of African Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and director, Nigerian Civil War and Genocide Research Network. Dr. Uwaizigwe holds an honorary professional chair in church ministry at the Trinity Biblical University, Global Extension, Brooklyn, New York, USA. A prolific writer, author, radical scholar, and unapologetic Igbo irredentist, well known for his controversial intellectual viewpoints. He has in his intellectual kitty 10 books and another 10 co-authored books, including over 50 articles in academic and non-academic journals. Dr. Uwaizigwe, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Miss Nade, the anchor. You're welcome.
Okay, and first of all, what do you think about the just concluded Anambra election?
Well, interestingly, the Anambra governorship election, I could not say it's an opener per se, but it's an eye-opener in the reasons, but it is a kind of re-energization of the people's mindsets in contradistinction to the mindset of the political leadership. In other words, it expressed the innate motive, innate political direction of the teeming population of not only Anambra State, but the greater part of Nigerians. In essence. In other words, it tries, it shows one thing, it made one point clear to us. What is that point? The point that if the people decide to stand by their wishes, if they decide to stand by their political principles without prejudice to whoever that is in control of the federation, without prejudice to the money being flouted by our corrupt politicians, without prejudice to ethnic and religious profiling of the candidates, definitely Nigeria is out to get a perfect, well-principled leadership. That's it. That's the basic thing, where mediocrity will be played down, and then meritocracy takes the lead.
All right, let's just talk about the topic directly. What role do you think the churches, pastors, and prophets played in influencing the results of the elections?
Yes, historically, the church has been an agent of politics, both in positive terms and in negative terms. And for you to understand the role of the church in Igbo land, in the current politics, you have to go back to history, how politics have actually determined the trajectory of Nigerian politics in general and the Igbo in particular. If you look at Igbo land, the Igbo people actually are seen as the most dominant Roman Catholic population in Nigeria. But then, over time, the question is, over time, why is it that the leadership, political leadership of Igbo land, including Nigeria, have been dominated by Protestants? That is the basic thing. You can, when we come for the, we come to the issue of the historical development of missionaries and the interaction with the, with the colonial government, we'll be able to arrive at this position. But then, if you look at the political demography of Igbo land, you find that the Protestants actually are in larger number when, when collectively defined. The Roman Catholics have been in a bit dominant in Anambra, slightly above the Anglicans. The same thing in Imo State, but not in Abia State. Abia State is where you have the Roman Catholic minority. You have a dominant Methodist around Ohoho, Umuahia, Pende side. You have a dominant Presbyterian on southeast Efigbo, well, let's say Live Efigbo, Ohofia, Arochukwu side. You have the Kwa Igbo, Kwa Igbo is not. You have the Seventh-day Adventists among the Ngwa people, including Anglicans there, among the Ngwa people. These are the dominant people. Then you come to Owerri. There is that equation between Roman Catholics and Anglicans. You go to Ebonyi State. You see Assemblies of God, just as we have them in Umuahia too. You also see Presbyterian dominant there and other regions. Then in Enugu State, you could see, only in Nsukka area. In Nsukka area, you have a dominant Roman Catholics. In Udi, Uji River, you have the Anglicans. Within the Abane and then the Ani reside, you have the Methodists. So this area, they are evenly distributed. So in politics, it's only actually in other areas, in other states, apart from Anambra State, in other states, election into political offices are never determined by your religious affiliation. It is only in Anambra State that the issue of religious profiling came into force. And that actually came during P2B's time. Before then, what governed Igbo, the trajectory of Igbo election is their collective interest. And you could see how it has been overplayed, it has generated in Anambra State to the chaotic position that even in local dealings, in town unions, the issue of whether you're Roman Catholic or not even Protestant in general, but Anglican, plays a strong, a strong factor in determining who will become the president, who will become the governor of the state. It happened during the time of Okwadiki Ibuku, the first executive governor of Anambra State. When the Roman Catholics and Anglicans were quarreling over who will present the governorship, it took Chukwuemeka Ezife, Dr. Chukwuemeka Ezife, who himself is neither a Roman Catholic nor Anglican, but a Salvation Army. A Salvation Army church adherent to claim the governorship. Found that it has been going on and going on. And this time, you saw Andy Oba trying to play into the politics of, the Roman Catholics have been ruling. It is now time for the Anglicans to, to also rule. He came into the politics. But we can explain later when the time comes why it did not work, the way he put it. And then you also come to issue of prophecy. We have a problem of prophecy. Ayodele, the Igbo say, Uche bu afa. Definition is, is intelligence. Is a sense of application. It does not really has to be divine when you are defining. You speculate. It's all about speculation. Most of these, prophecies by our church, some church leaders have been speculative. At times it goes on, good. At times it fails, and they will just keep quiet. We were talking the other time during the last election when Professor Chukwuma Soludo came up. Father Mbaka, who is known for controversial prophecies, both good and bad, whichever one that ended, Professor said, Soludo will fail. What will he be looking for after failing? If you look at, I don't know if you have the clips of, of the prophecy here, if you could play it. And he claimed that after failing, Soludo will never succeed in anything again. That was the conclusion of that prophecy. He did not, he did not limit it to that session, but he said perpetually, After his failure, Professor Soludo was doomed politically. We saw this his victory as a counter to what Father Mbaka, Ejike Mbaka prophesied about Soludo meeting his political, perpetual political Waterloo. And we also saw the commands, spiritual command. I think command because most of them, and most of us are more spiritual to them. Because even the Bible talks about universal priesthood. So if you are a priest, you're a pastor, you're a prophet, and you don't have the gift, it's just a vocation, it's just a job. You can be appointed. That's why many people can become an apprentice pastors tomorrow. Tomorrow they have the means, they start up their new churches. It does not mean that they are more spiritual than even their members. So you also had Odumeje was recklessly abusing the tenets of Christianity in the name of false prophecy and whatever, prophesying that there will be no election in Anambra State, or there will be violence, there will be killings, and so on. And we saw the election moving on peacefully, even though the turnout was not encouraging compared to the number of actual registered voters. Professor Ayodele also gave his own speculation, which also failed. His own speculation was, APC will not win the election, except if they rig the election. And we also see some attempts for the rigging of the election. So that is the position. That is the card on ground on the issue of their prophecies, both failures and successes, both good and bad.
Okay, now, but what do you think about the church being directly involved in politics? Is it something that should be encouraged or discouraged?
First, if you look at the history of Africa or the history of the world, church and politics, they move together. The Bible has stated it. You go to Romans, we tell you, the Bible tells us that we should respect political leaders because they were what? They were put there by God. They're agents of God. He also tells us when a good leadership is in power, the people rejoice. And when a bad leadership is in power, the people mourn. So the Bible is very, very clear. And Jesus Christ is very, very clear when the issue of politics comes. He talked about the vision of, he said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God. It does not mean that Caesar should not be interested in what concerns God. And it does not mean that God will not be interested on how Caesar rules the people, because God is the ultimate power. So it is incumbent on Christians to be part of the politics, because politics, the colonial governments brought politics into the administration. They used the churches as agents of colonization. They used the churches also as agents of civilization. They allowed the churches to bring us their Western education, their own civilization. They also used it when it suited them. So it was like what Karl Marx called the religion is opiate of the masses. They use religion at their own interest to mellow down our resistivity in order to enable them, exploit us. In other way around, they also use religion to bring us to the high standard of civilization in which we find ourselves today. Because the colonial government, their aim was economic exploitation. So they were not ready to establish schools, to establish some institutions that will elevate us. They entrusted them to the churches. The churches came first. Before the churches came first, before the government. And it was the it was the church that created a pathway for the colonial government to take over. For example, the Methodist Church was the first to come to, to Nigeria in 1843 through Badagry, then to Abeokuta. Then they were followed by the Presbyterians through Calabar in 1846. Then came the Anglicans through Ajayi Crowther, through the Naira, starting with the Onitsha mission in 1857. The Methodists in the East came from Vanandapo in 1893. So the Catholics again, the Holy Ghost fathers who actually Christianized the eastern part of came in 1884. And then the SMA, Société Mission des Africains, SMA, that Christianized the western part from River Niger, from Asaba down, Lokoja down, came in 1888. And these were the people who actually created a pathway for the colonial government, because the churches provided the earlier instruments of administration needed by the colonial governments. For example, you look at the secondary school. The first secondary school in Nigeria was founded by Anglican Church, 1859, by Reverend Babington Macaulay, the father of Herbert Macaulay. So was founded. He come to the colonial government only founded. Sorry. Nonsense.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. We're hearing you.
All right. So the federal government only established the King's College in Lagos in 1901. And then in Eastern Nigeria, Methodists were the first to establish secondary school. The Methodist College, Usuapale, was founded in 1925. First, it was the Presbyterians who founded the Hope Water Institute in 1883. Then the Methodists founded Methodist College, the first secondary school in Eastern Nigeria, 1925, followed by the Anglicans, who established DMG, Dennis Memorial Grammar School in Onitsha in 1928. Then the Roman Catholics came with King's College in 1933. These were actually the earliest. Yes.
Dr. Sorry, let me just interject here right now.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a question, and hopefully when you're trying to answer, you mentioned the names of the prophets you mentioned in your earlier submission. Over time, we have seen pastors, reverend fathers, prophets, etc. come out publicly to endorse candidates. What are your thoughts on this practice? And please, when you're trying to answer, for clarity, just mention those names you mentioned, the Odumejes, the Father Mbaka, and their prophecies. Thank you.
You see, I think the issue of endorsement of candidates is wrong for the pastors and prophets to endorse candidates. You don't choose candidates for the people. It's being partisan. You are being partisan, and all you needed to ask for it first. Christians go and vote for the right candidates. For example, the problem Nigerians are facing today was as a result of Mbaka's endorsement of President Muhammadu Buhari and Jonathan as bad luck, and that is it. And the same Mbaka is now turning back to criticize the same Buhari he endorsed prophetically. So the question is, who actually, did God change? Did God make a mistake? That is the issue. If he endorsed Buhari and then is now coming back to criticize Buhari, through whose mouth was he speaking? We have also seen the case of Imo State between him and Ohakim. So it is very catastrophic spiritually for priests to endorse a candidate and even prophesy, because at the end of the day, you are not just belittling your spiritual integrity, you also belittling the trusted and our believed efficacy, our belief in the efficacy of God as all powerful, who never lied, who never makes mistake, the omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient. You make mockery of God when you know that God did not speak through you, and you speak, and at the end of the day you fail. It is from it is like telling my son, look, your mother is a white woman. My son had not seen my, had not seen my mother. My mother is a white woman. And the next day, my son will be searching my document, and he sees my mother as a black man. How do you know? What do you think will be my son's impression of myself? That is the point. So it is belittling for any church, and it is also a problem of spirituality, because we do not accept false prophecy. And in fact, prophets are anointed by God, not self-anointed, not self-appointed. In my research as a historian in African tradition, I've seen some of these priests, even Roman Catholic priests, going to meet native doctors to give them power for definition, for divination. I'm not lying. And so when some of them prophesy, we laugh at them, because God also speaks to some of us. God can speak to anybody depending on how. One, either that you have the gift of prophecy. It does not mean whether you're a Roman Catholic, whether you are even a Muslim, or whether you're a traditionalist. Because if you're given the gift of prophecy, if you're given the gift of divination, you can still do it without wearing the toga of a priest. You can still dream, okay, depending on how you keep yourself, how holy you keep yourself, how morally standard, you conduct your life. God can also speak to you. So there's no big deal for people who think it is their vocation to deceive a lot of people to come and start prophesying about politics. The question is, every time we have bandits killing hundreds in Kaduna, killing in Sokoto, killing in the east, killing in Anambra, killing many people, even herdsmen killing. How many times have these prophets prophesied that 20 people will be killed tomorrow by bandits? Oh, Boko Haram will invade Maiduguri tomorrow. How many times have they prophesied? Because these are the major issues, these are the major challenges that are facing the people. The prophets, all prophets in the Bible, directed their prophecies. If you look at Elijah and someone, they directed their prophecies. Extant problems at that period in time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Not created problem. So when you fail to prophesy on the immediate problems facing your people, and you're prophesying through a guessing game, it's just like Mbaka prophesying that Ugwuanyi will win election, and people clapped. Who did not know that Ugwuanyi will win local government, will win the governorship election of Enugu State, given the trajectory and the political demography of the state? So that is the point. So it is wrong for most of these who are now, commercializing spirituality, not just general spirituality, Christian spirituality, this commercialization, to be putting the name of God in shame, and the name of Christians and the image of Christians in Nigeria, leaving the major issue facing the Christians of this nation, which is insecurity. I don't know why God has not spoken to them, spoken to Mbaka about the impending dangers, about the killings, about all these things, so that people will be able to stand firm and know how to defend themselves and know how to solve the problem. These are the prophecies our people need today, not about who will be governor, not about who will lose, not about this. These are not our problems. Let God speak to them, because every day people pray in the church for security. People pray in the church for hunger. People pray in the church for good health. Why can't God speak to them through, speak to them in order to fulfill, in order to answer the prayers of these people? Why must their own, prophecies only directed to their selfish interests?
Thank you. Now remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand and try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, I said something earlier. For clarity, could we be reminded of the religious leaders that uttered prophecies regarding the Anambra state elections? Could you just remind us?
Yes. First, Ayodele, Prophet Ayodele made speculative that came through. Oh, Abga will win the election, and APC will not win the election, except if they rigged, which is good. the political situation in Anambra State is clear that APGA is on ground. And the political conditions, the political demography and emerging trends, security trend, will not allow even PDP or APC to win. If you throw the votes 10 times, these two parties will still win because of the extant political demography on the ground. He said it right. And APC actually banked on what? On rigging, and which was what they directed at Ihiala local government area, which they tried to apply, is it a Hope Uzodinma's system of using his Oluzon to accumulate votes, with which he now overturned the election. But the Anambra situation is not the same with Imo situation, because yes, Ebola, Southeast is Southeast, but subculturally they are different. The situation that obtains in Anambra is not the situation that obtains in Imo, the situation that obtains in Enugu State or Abia State. Anambra is more holistic, is more united culturally than most of these people. In Imo State, you can easily identify those from Oluzon, those from Owerri. You can equally identify those from from Ngopala, other side, Mbise, Mbano, Okigwe Zone. These are subcultural zones. So it's easier to mobilize these people on subcultural sentiments. In Anambra, in Enugu State, the same thing. It's easier to mobilize them. Nsukka zone, you have Enugu, Nkanu zone, you have Oji River, Udi zone. In Ebonyi State, you have the Eza Abakaleke zone. You also have the Ahugo or Hosra zone. So it's easier. Abia State, the same thing. You have the Ngwa, the Oho Mwahia, and then the Bende, and then the other side, Ohofia, Arochukuzo. So it's easier to use religious divisions to mobilize all those areas. But for Anambra, it is not easy because they are all holistic. You think of the Southern Senatorial Zone that produced the present governor, from Ihiala, Newi to Urumba, North. They are all holistic. You cannot tell them you are this, you are this. The same thing with Central Zone. They moved from Idemili North, Idemili South, down to Oka. You cannot use any religious or sub-ethnic profiling to define them. The same thing with the North. When you move with Obaru through Onitsha, down to Enyamelu, Achala side, Oka North. You cannot. These are very, very clear. So Anambra is a place where, apart from the Aguleri, Anyamelu side, Anambra is not a place where one man can come and decide because of his money the political direction of the people, because nearly every town in Anambra State can get somebody who can backroll the elections. So it's not possible to use money to decide who we rule, as you have in Imo and other areas. That's the uniqueness of Anambra State.
Okay, now one of the elements that we saw during this election was the clear lines between the Anglican and the Catholic Church. And we saw candidates paying extra attention to the denominations, especially when building their campaign teams and choosing their running mates. What do you think of this? Was this to promote inclusiveness, or was this just because of the Anambra reality, the Anambra political reality?
Yes, just as I said before, there was in Anambra State, there was nothing like religion in terms of denomination, in terms of political election, politics. But actually, there was that issue of, the Protestants have been ruling Anambra State. Zik, Protestants, Okpara, Protestant, Akanibian, Protestant, Ekwueme, Protestant, Jimobodo, Protestant, Mbakwe, Protestant. This was the campaign of calumny some people in Anambra State carried on, and then started sowing the seed of what? Discord. Unfortunately for both Anglicans and Catholics, they are quickly losing a lot of their members to Pentecostal churches. So if you're even talking of if Pentecostal churches and other independent African churches decide to gang up against Anglicans and Catholic in Anambra today, the two parties will win. And that is the problem. So the issue is this: Andrew Bass attempt to bring Anglicanism there. You understand? Anglican, we did not work. It can't work because let me be very, very clear. You see, Andover is like a leprous hand trying to serve people a clean water. The issue is that can a clean water served by a leprous hand actually be deemed clean? That is the issue. The Anglican Church cannot, no sensible Anglican cannot, because of narrow denominational interests, acquiesce to Andrew Bass, religious profiling. It cannot work because people are feeling the pain in Nigeria. People are experiencing. Unfortunately, the Igbo land is a different case altogether. In South and the Yoruba land, religion does not determine your political direction. In fact, until Ahmed Tinubu came up trying to prop up the same thing Peter Obi used in Enugu State, was the same thing Ahmed Tinubu used in the Yoruba land when he destroyed AD, Alliance for Democracy, based on Awolowo's interest, and then to introduce AC, where he now used NASFAT and other Islamic agents to drum into the Muslims in Nigeria, in Western region. Oh, they are being dominated by Christians. That's the division in Yoruba land. Otherwise, a real Awoist, if you look at the history of Awolowo's political development, you find that religion, your denomination will not find a path. In fact, as I said earlier, I was part of OPC, Odua People's Congress. I was the only woman on the high command for the fashion, and you find that there, you come there as Odua member, you take an oath that you defend the Yoruba interest. If you a Muslim, throw it away. If you're a Christian, throw it away. So in fact, within OPC rank and file, it is a crime for you to identify yourself religiously. And why is it so in Yoruba land? Because the Yoruba people decided to put their ethnic, cultural, and historical identities over and above religion. Against the Yoruba standard. In Igbo land, you see a situation where they are killing their tradition in the name of modernity, in the name of Satan, fighting them, and promoting modern religion, Christianity, which also create division. So that is why religion, denominational battle is very, very tense today in Anambra State, where a Roman Catholic will say, will not be allowed to marry an Anglican. But in Yoruba land, you see even Muslims marrying Christians, living together. In Yoruba land, my friends who are, it is only in Yoruba land I could enter mosque with my friends. We have discussions and do everything and leave. There was no question of being a Christian or being an Igbo man. That is Yoruba, for you. And unless the Igbo people adopt that, there will be no unity. In Igbo land, they are destroying them. They even allow, like Father Okunere, Father Obani, is collecting the effigy, the symbols of their people identity, of their people culture in the name of idols, in the name of idols, and packing them in the church. Is clearing the Reverend Father, destroying artifacts, which we're even fighting for retrieval from Europeans. You are gathering them and and storing in the church in the name of the Satan. That's a Reverend Father who said he's well educated and speaking for God. In Igbo land, you see where they will go and destroy groups in the name of, these groups, our ancestors are using it to destroy our progress. How can they destroy our progress? Whereas in the Yoruba land, they are fighting UNESCO, United Nations, to make their own religion and tradition international sites for tourism. Osun Osogbo Festival today is a UNESCO site, heritage site. Which heritage site, UNESCO heritage site is in Igbo land today. They are destroying them. And then they fell into what? Fake spirituality. You see, if you look at it, look at the trajectory of even religious development. How many Igbo religious leaders are big-time Pentecostal churchmen today compared to the Yoruba? Why are the Yoruba moving faster spiritually than the Igbo men? We have to look at it. The reason is very, very clear. When you destroy your foundation, when you destroy that foundation on which your progress stands, then your progress will be started somewhere. But when you know that, look, this is my father's land, and my father is as saintly as St. Paul, or as St. Joseph, or St. Anthony, when you realize that your dead father is not a Satan, that your ancestors are not devils, they are not in here, then you see God doing what? Recognizing you. That is the problem with Igbo people. And until they realize that, politically, they will still be subdued. And that is what is happening. Even in the north, when you see Muslims and Christians fighting each other. For what? Now, Muslims today, nobody is talking whether you're Hausa or whether it is only the Fulani people in the north. And that is why they've been able to hold on to power. It is only the Fulani Muslims that try to maintain their cultural identity. Historically, intellectual, only the Fulani people. All other Muslims in northern Nigeria, even in Yoruba land, are trying to key up to be more Muslims than the Fulani. But only the Fulani today maintain their culture and identity as Fulani. In the Yoruba land, in the northern Nigeria, once you're a Muslim, a Muslim Nupe, a Mesron Biron, a Muslim Hausa, your identity as a man disappears. But the Fulani maintains it. How many of us have asked questions? Why are the Bororo, all these Fulani men, rearing cattle and causing trouble in Nigeria? Why is it that they are not Muslims? They don't they don't go to mosque, they don't pray, and then they are traditionalists. Yet, those who try to make you Muslims, use them to conquer you. We have not asked those questions.
Okay, Dr. Oezige, thank you so much. We're almost out of time, so remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand. I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, before I let you go, we have talked so much about the role of churches, prophets, and pastors in Anambra state elections. But in your opinion, what stance do you think the church should adopt moving forward?
Please, can you repeat the question? I was disturbed here, please.
I said, what stance
yes
should the church adopt moving forward? Should they be completely neutral, or should they still remain involved in politics?
The problem with the church is that the leadership, we have a leadership who are clandestinely political. And that clandestine posture derives from their selfish instincts. If you're a Christian, you know that good leadership, if there's good leadership, there'll be security in your country. There'll be employment for your members. And when there's employment and everybody is working, then there'll be more money for paying your tithes and offerings and for the nation in the church. Then you work towards establishing a just and governable and peaceful society, government. In other words, the church should try as much as possible to be proactive in participating in politics, practically deciding who will be the leadership of this country. It's not a question of.
I'm sorry, sir. Let me just interject here a bit. When you say actively participating, do you mean they should be partisans, or they should act as civil society organizations, or what exactly? Can you just please explain what exactly you mean?
The church. Let me tell you, I'm not missing words because people say the ego has patched at the shooting range. it is very, very clear. How are the Muslims, or how are the Muslims able, how have they been able to dominate this country? It's a question of they go to the mosque, they tell their people, this is the person, don't vote for this Christian, don't vote for this man. And they come out in open space, in open spaces, and be campaigning, we are one Nigeria, vote for these people. And when you come to the church to present a Christian a candidate, they will tell you, oh, church is not politics. Who told that Jesus Christ was not a politician? Nobody was as political as Jesus Christ. Church should decide from now in Nigeria who will rule. It's not a question of Adebayo, Oyedepo flouting their helicopter and their universities and so on and so forth. We need a leadership that can move Nigeria forward. A leadership, and that leadership can only come when the Christians are there. And let me tell you, apart from Yaradua, although you do not have enough time, you check the Muslims who have been ruling this country. Compare them with the Christians who have been presidents and even presidents and heads and military heads of states in this country. Look at it. You look at the different, you look at the state of stability. Look at the step of stability in Nigeria after the Civil War, when Gowon was ruling in 1975. Look at the stability when Obasanjo was ruling. Look at also the progress in Nigeria when Jonathan was ruling. Even though Jonathan was castigated, for some reasons. Look, compare. You find that when a Christian is in power, religious conspiracy is minimal. It's not to the grave, to the gravest point of human destruction, of disengaging the senses, the unity and the progress of the society. Is well directed, because then he knows, a Christian knows that shedding of blood is against the tenets of Christianity. Shedding of blood, unjust blood, knows. But for a Muslim in leadership, it does not mean anything, because that is what the jihad demands. So it does not mean anything. Let me tell you, if a Christian were to be the president of this Nigeria today, the current happening, killings everywhere, insecurity will not be there. Because even the people we attack him and people will force him. Obasanjo might have been a dictator, but with my dictatorship, but you also listen to to what people, we are talking about him. But in this case, Nigeria now, yes, I'm not in Nigeria, but I know with the situation, even at the time I left Nigeria, but when armed robbers were ruling our highways, we were better. Now armed robbers have disappeared in Nigeria. Nobody traveling from Onitsha to Ore to Ijabode to Shagamu to Lagos is afraid of armed robbers. You may be praying, let armed robbers even come. Because when armed robber comes, you know what he wants, your money or your life. He gives you your money. But you're facing people who will not even demand your money at times. It's your life. So we are in a situation where Christians will bury your denominational differences. Bury your denominational differences. Christ said, we are all one in Christ, one body of Christ. Whether you're a Jew, you're a Gentile, we are all one. When you do that, you may see shirts, fighting, the government fighting shirts in Kaduna, in Kano, and so on. It is their own internal affairs. When the issue comes, issue of contesting with a Christian, the shirts, Sunni, Safi, Sufi, Ahmadiyya differences will disappear. They now know that they are facing one unbeliever. But you see a situation in Nigeria where Christians will now prefer to work with Muslims to destroy a fellow Christian just because of denominational conflict, denominational jealousy, denominational differences. You don't see it in Islam. Jonathan failed election because of the gang up by Christians, not even by Muslims. And today, the same people who ganged up against Jonathan are even criticizing the person they put in there. That is the tragedy of the Nigerian Christian. So it's not a question of saying Christians should go into politics. And I bet you, demographically, the Christians are majority in Nigeria. I'm a scholar. I've been reading some tidbits, some formulations about Muslim majority, about Christian, about what, about 50-50. These are just facts. Even the issue that, how did you get the statistics? All the elections we'll be having, the governments have decided tactfully, cunningly removed your religious identity. But go back to 1963 census, which could be deemed as the only authentic census in Nigeria. 1963 census. Look at the religious ratio between Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. And we are the majority. Even though they claim that, where you have Christians, so these are pagans traditional. It's wrong. It is wrong. How do you classify me? I'm a traditional chief. You classify me as a traditionalist or as a Christian? It does not be so. We have to go back. Because if you look at it, Adamawa today, Adamawa State has Christian majority. Because of this disunity, they allow themselves to be ruled. Gombe State is a Christian majority. Gombe State, what is it again? Nasarawa State is a Christian majority. Borno State has 1/3 Christians in the south. Even Yobe has about 10% Christians. So if you are talking about is in Yoruba land, you can see it is only Oyo, you have 50-50. In Ogun State, you have about 60% Christians and 40% Muslims. In Ekiti, it's about 95, 99. In Ondo, about 99. In Lagos, it's even 64. The Christians are 60 in Lagos. So it's not a question in Kaduna State today. Forget the gerrymandering they did in the creation of this Kaduna State. Because if you go back, the present Southern Kaduna were majority at the time Katsina State was created. They had 11 local governments, yes. Why the Northern Kaduna today have 5 local governments? They only tripled the other ones and doubled their House of Assembly constituencies. Why they left the Southern Kaduna static? They are the same. And Nigeria is election. Yeah, let me conclude. Nigeria is election. It's a country where rigging of election operates better when you have, advantage in population. So there you can manipulate. And that was what actually APC planned to do in Ihiala local government, where they had recruited a lot of bad men there, criminals there, who could intimidate their people. But it could not work again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before we let you go, any last words you want to talk about? You want to say about the topic? Hello, Doctor. Did you hear me?
Okay. I didn't hear. What did you say? Somebody's raising up his hand.
I said.
Yeah.
I said okay. Okay, Elder Tango.
Yes.
Elder Gochukwu, please go ahead. But please try to keep it short. We are out of time.
Okay. To start comment with one at times, we give somebody that want to say his mind. What I have to add on, because Dr. Weziwe have said it all. All he said is an open fact. But all my idea is that most of us doesn't even know the power of religion. Religion is too powerful. Go to Roman history. You see what religions did in Roman history. That brought a papacy agreement. You go to Church of England, you see what religion did. You go to China, you see how China could fail religion, even in Europe. So religious system in Africa, in Nigeria is causing problem. Government must think and how religion will work, not being a problem, because the politicians are very good in divide and rule system. They use any chance as an opportunity to divide this congregation or dominance or whatever they call it. Divider is all this divide and rule system. And this man is even in Anambra now. The problem that nearly bust the election, not even sit at home or anything, is the problem between Anglicans and Catholic. And the other protestants never even give their own view. So religious must be controlled in Africa to have all that doctor said is true, because religious, they have turned it as a political weapon. Religion is a congregation of faithful, but now it's out of the motive of the initial aim of religion. So what do we do? Dr. Wezigwe will add a voice, whether our parliament will do something to call religion to order, that religion will not be a problem to the system. That's my add to what Dr. Wezigwe have said.
Thank you so much. Let us hear from the second person, Chikwendu. Chikwendu, your hand is up. Chikwendu, kindly unmute yourself and speak. So, Chikwendu, I've asked you to unmute.
Maybe he does not know how to unmute.
Chikwendu.
She can do it for him.
Okay.
You can.
Well, I have asked her to unmute. I don't know why it's not working. But while we're trying to wait for Chikwendu, Doctor, you heard what Elder Ugochukwu said. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes. Yes. Let me give you two instances. It's very rare. You know, secularism. Our government, our constitution says secularism. The government should be secular, not aligned to any religion. In fact, that was the reason I am off today, because I took the present federal government to court, challenging their, the attempt to make Nigeria a religious robot, a religious robotic republic. That was the reason for my going to court, and the case is still in Federal High Court, Abuja. If you look at Turkey, when Ataturk took over in 1925, Ataturk declared Turkey a religious free country, and it brought about developments. It made Turkey to compete with the West, where he now declared Turkey what? A secular religion. I even said that even Quran should be read, should be reading in Turkish language, because at that time, the only Quran you could read was in Arabic. It's a Quran. And that made any religious profiling a serious crime. And that made Turkey to develop. Until this Erdogan, the present president, now came up and started to recycle all, religious orthodox, which has even, which is trying to bring Turkey down. We talk again, another example. I tend to ask Nigerian, all these Nigerian Muslim leaders, look at Indonesia. Indonesia is, I've been to Indonesia many times and really serious friends there. Indonesia is the most populous Muslim country in the whole world. But then their president came and said, look, I am telling you, anything about religion, you put it at the background in what we call Pancasila. And then he recognized Islam, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism as major religion. But this one should not play parts in the development of Indonesia. And for that reason, you see the people now focusing on what? On meritocracy. Religion has a tendency to create meritocracy, mediocrity, where people will tell you, oh, God said you should not do this, God said you should not do this, God said I should not eat this, my belief is not this. No, it creates, religion gives what? Room for mediocrity. You could see today, I was asked in Indonesia, when I went to to their institute, major development institute, ask the director, why is it that in your innovation, you don't involve Africans, both even the Muslim countries? Only Egypt and South Africa is in their own, cooperative network. Why? They are the same Muslim. He told me, just as the one-time Israeli ambassador, deputy ambassador in Nigeria told me, when I told him, look, can't you, when we were moving from Enugu, I invited him for a lecture at the University of Nigeria. When we were moving from 9th Mile to Nsukka, he saw a vast land, empty land. He told me he had wished this land is brought to Israel. I said, why can't you help us to develop agriculture? He said, the recent generation of Nigerian leaders are not interested in gradual wealth. They're interested in quick wealth. They are not interested. And that was the view of Indonesians. They'll be ready to supply you materials for Islamic propagation, but not for scientific development. So until Nigeria decides to take, for example, Indonesia today. Indonesia is where they have developed what? They have deep research in botany that they now have a timber that can mature in 5 years. Timber that can mature in 5 years. You use it to make just 5 years timber in Indonesia. Our Muslim leaders who flout their Islamism and whatever, they go to Indonesia for OIC meetings, for whatever Islamic meetings. Why have they not been able to ask Indonesia to come and give us their technology? So the issue is this: until we keep religion at the background, Nigeria will never see the light of day in modern development. We never see the light of day in development. I've said it earlier that until we adopt the Yoruba model, until Tinubu came, I was returning from Indonesia. At Dubai, I joined, the same emirate with a Yoruba judge, High Court judge from Osun State. A judge, we were discussing, and I told him that, do you know that Bisi Akonde is a Muslim? She said she never knew that Bisi Akonde is a Muslim who was their governor. The same way, nobody knows the religion of Obafemi Awolowo. Nobody knows the religion of Bola Ige. Most of Awoists, nobody knows. The person Awolowo asked, told to take over from him. The person he told to take over from him, I guess, Akintola Adebanro, was a Muslim. He never did it because he was a Christian, and so a Muslim should not take over. It was in Yoruba interest, your primary interest, until we decide to cover our interests on our particular interest, on what makes us what we are, because we were one before religion came. Every religion in this part of the world, every foreign religion is foreign. Remove religion, a Muslim Hausa man and a Christian Hausa man. Remove Islam and Christian. They are the same brothers. They are the same brothers.
All right.
So,
all right. Thank you so much. I don't think Chikwandu can ask the question again. Chikwandu, if you're here, are you still interested in asking your question? I think you can unmute yourself. Okay, and that's as much as we can take on today's exclusive interview powered by News.Band Television. We have been discussing Anambra 2021, the role of churches, pastors, and prophets in the just concluded Anambra elections. Special thanks to our guest, Dr. Uwankwo Tony Oizigwe. He's the director, Nigerian Civil War and Genocide Research Network. He's also a research fellow in exile at the Institute of African Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, an expert in ethno-religious conflict with particular focus on Black Africa and Middle East. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak.
thank you to Nade for inviting me.
And also thank you to all the people that participated in today's conversation. Remember that this interview was live streamed on YouTube and Facebook. It was also recorded. So if you need a recording, you can just speak to us and we'll try to make this available to you. And from me, Augusta Neka, thank you so much for listening and good night.